Hello, and welcome to the monthly wrap-up of Crazy Books. The month of February 2025 has come to an end, and we are going to talk about... I am going to talk about all of the things that I read this month. Normally, in the past, I would talk about my entire month, and I would get more into things like movies I saw, video games I played, stuff with my life, things like that. But recently, I started doing that on a weekly basis. You can go find that here, maybe, somewhere. I get more into that when I'm doing like week to week, and I talk about things other than books. I still talk about books in there, but I branch out on my topics and stuff. So if that interests you, if you want to listen to me yap for 20 to 30 minutes a week, go check that out. But I think what I'm going to do for my monthlies now moving forward, because of that weekly show, I'm just going to talk about the things that I read and the things that I'm going to read next month. Just to make this, because there's a lot that I could talk about, and I'm just not going to. This would be an hour long, and I don't want to talk for that long. February, shortest month of the year. Punxsutawney Phil, I think, called it right this year. It has been so cold and so stupid. It's starting to warm up a little bit where I'm at right now, but I feel like it's just going to get cold again. So that little bastard was right. Great month for reading. Good month for reading, now that I'm looking back. But I have read some good stuff that I like. So, and I read quite a bit, actually. Now that I'm looking at this list, this is kind of ridiculous. If you've been following me for a while, if you're new here, you know I read a lot of comic books on top of actual books. I like to split my time. I like to branch out. I like to read different things. This month, I actually read a couple of different comic series, short series, and so I'll just go through those, and then we'll get into the books. I read Bigfoot by Rob Zombie. I know that sounds crazy, but I didn't know this existed. And upon further research, I discovered that the art was by Richard Corbin, who I really, really, really like. I love Bigfoot. I love Richard Corbin. I'm all in. So check that one out. It was decent. Don't love it. Don't hate it. The art is awesome. I mean, that's what really carries it. But it's 4 issues. It was pretty short. Really just a one man's quest to get revenge on the Bigfoot that killed his parents. That's basically it. It's pretty good. It's very horror based. Ghost Rider, Vicious Cycle. This is a pretty short, I think 5-issue series about Ghost Rider escaping from hell, and Lucifer hitches a ride with him, and then Ghost Rider has to figure out how to either, I think, kill Lucifer. I think that's what happens. It is also kind of an updated origin story of Ghost Rider. It's not too bad. The art in it is really good. Really, really good. And there's some characters in here that you probably wouldn't expect to see, or characters I didn't really know of. So, yeah, not bad. Warhammer 40K, if you watch my weekly Yap session, you'll know that I recently have kind of gotten this like seed in my head of like I want to get more into Warhammer 40K, like the books. I don't necessarily want to play it. I just want to get more into what's out there and learn more about it because I hear the books are good. So dip my toes in there. There are comic books for 40K. I read one called Marneus Calgar, and it was good. I liked it a lot, and it explains, it gives a lot of the lore and what a space marine is and how you become a space marine. That's pretty much what the whole thing is about, is one character becoming a space marine and his journey through that. So it's following him in the present, but then also going to the past and how he got there. And I liked it. I think that this was probably the best comic series that I read this month. It gave me more insight into the actual like 40K universe. And so I thought that was neat. I'm definitely excited to actually read a book and really dive in and become a hardcore nerd about it. And lastly, I read Howard the Duck. First time reading a Howard the Duck series. It had a lot to do with like media manipulation and the news and stuff like that. And it was pretty good. For as old as it is, I think it's 10, 15 years old. It's more relevant now than it probably was back then. All right, now let's shift over into all the books I read this month. I read 4 5.5 books this month. 4 to 5. I don't know. Started the month off by finishing up Mickey 7. If you have seen recent trailers for the movie Mickey 17, Mickey 7 is the book that inspired the movie. I think I gave it like a 4 out of 5, and it was very lighthearted given what the story is actually about. Our protagonist is fun, and he's funny, and he keeps things interesting, and the story itself is pretty interesting. It reminded me a lot of like Andy Weir, like The Martian, or Project Hail Mary. It felt in that same kind of zone of like our main character is kind of very nonchalant about the things he does. I thought it was pretty good. Definitely one of the better books that I've read this year so far. Next up was Laws of the Skies. This was a shorter book. I picked it up because it kept coming up in like the realm of more extreme horror, and I don't know why I want to read things like that, but I do. This is the story of a bunch of young children and parental guidance, what would you call that? Chaperones. They go on a camping trip in the woods, and all hell breaks loose. It's kind of insane. It's not nearly as like graphic or gnarly as I expected it to be, or as it was made out to be. There is a part towards the end that is pretty bad, but overall, I mean, this was fine. I don't know. It's not bad. It's just, I kind of felt like some of the things tonally were a little off. Some of the things about the narrative weren't totally connecting for me. I can't remember what I gave it. Probably like a 3.5, maybe. That might be generous. 3, probably. Next up is The Spirit. This is a Bigfoot book. This is a book about a Bigfoot that is killing people, and a man who is tracking it because it killed some of his friends and colleagues, and a Native American who believes that the Bigfoot is his like spirit guide. And so he's also following and protecting the Bigfoot. This is an old, like 70s book. It's kind of horror action. A lot better than I expected it to be. Let me say that. I'm a Bigfoot lover and enthusiast, and I think that it treated the subject pretty well and took it seriously, which is always a plus when it comes to stuff like this. I thought the story was pretty interesting. The action is where it started to falter a little bit. The author couldn't really write action very coherently sometimes, and so it could be difficult to follow exactly what was happening. But for the most part, I liked it. For what it was, it surprised me. My expectations were low, and I was happy with what it ended up being. I finally got to read Carrie by Stephen King. This is Stephen King's first published book. I gotta say, I loved it. I thought it was really good. I think that the story completely holds up. I don't know that it would crack like a top 10 Stephen King for me, but man, it's close. I thought that the character of Carrie was so good and so well done. I mean, she has got to be one of the book itself might not be a top 10, but she's probably like a top 5 character of Stephen King for me. I thought she's just a great book, just a really, really great book. If you haven't read it, it's pretty short, especially for the King. And I would definitely check it out. It was good. After Carrie, I picked up and started reading the 4th book in the Expanse series, Cibola Burn. I don't know how you say that. And when I first started it, I was just like, and I kind of talked about this last week too, of like, I feel like every Expanse book is just taking what happened the book before it and doing something on a smaller scale. And that's how this one felt. Until about the midway, like last third. And then it kicks into like high gear, and it became so exciting. And I was like, this is way better than it's been the whole time. And so it helped raise the book up, and I ended up really liking it. I still stand by that it's doing kind of the same thing that happened in the last book, but it did it really well. It did some different things. This one's definitely in a different setting as the rest of the books have been so far. I'd say out of the 4 I've read, it comes in 3rd, but I was by the end of it, I was very happy. I was like, that was good. It had me on the edge of my seat, which is what I really love about the series. And it was kind of feeling like it was starting to drag a little bit. The past 2 books were feeling like it was losing that excitement and losing what makes it so good. And by the end of it, I didn't feel that way. So that's a plus. Excited for the next one. And finally, to end off the year, because I had read everything that I had picked at the beginning of the month, rolled the dice again, and I got this book called In the Distance. I don't remember where I found this book. I don't know, but it's on the list. This is a Western book. That was all that I knew going into it. I have probably, I don't know, 50, 60 pages left in it. It is great so far. I am blown away. Having zero expectations and reading this, I'm like, wow. This is really great. One of the more subversive Westerns that I've read. It is doing a lot of things that I have never seen nor read before in a Western. The setting is slightly different, which maybe is what's influencing what's happening within it. But yeah, it's really great so far. And if it can maintain this may end up being like one of the best books I read this year. I mean, as it stands now, it definitely is. But I mean, this is going to be a tough one to beat if it maintains this and ends really well. So I'm excited to finish that. I'm excited to maybe hopefully be recommending it to people. If I could have a recommendation right now, I'd say absolutely. It's been great. So that's what I've got. Once I finish up In the Distance, I've got to have 3 more, and then I will read the 5th Expanse book. So let's go ahead and pick those books now. If you're new here and don't know how I pick my books for each month, I have a long TBR list that's about 110, 120 deep, 103. And I will open up my random number generator and we'll hit it. And that'll be what I pick. So I guess we'll count that one. Number 2, Corpus Chrome Inc. S. Craig Zahler. That's really weird. Somebody's been commenting and asking me if I've read any other Zahler books, and I haven't for, almost 2 years now. I don't even know if I read one last year. And so that's cool. That's pretty random. Second book. What is that? 36? 36. The Lathe of Heaven. Ursula K. Le Guin. I never read her. Excited. I've heard very good things about her. Wow. All right. Sweet. I get so excited. I would be like excited for any book that got picked on here. I don't know why. I'm like, yeah, awesome. Yeah. Like, because I want to read all of these books. Okay. Last one. What is that? 39. Really sticking in the 30s here, aren't we? 39. 39 is You Gotta Want It by Jake Paul. Oh, that's good. I was wondering when that one was going to pop up. It's so early in the year to be reading this. That's great. Okay. All right. Okay. So what the hell did we even just do? I've lost it. Okay. So Corpus Chrome Inc., Lathe of Heaven, and You Gotta Want It. And then I'll follow that with The Expanse. Number 5, Nemesis Games, I believe is what it's called. And then if I finish that, who knows? We'll pick another one. So that's it. That's been the month of February for me in terms of reading. Like I said, I have a weekly video series now where I go more in depth of what's just happening week to week, what's on my mind. I'll talk about anything that I feel like talking about. It's a podcast. I just sit and ramble and talk about whatever subject I want to. So be on the lookout for that. If you're interested in that, go ahead. Other than that, how was February for you? Did you do anything cool? Did you read anything good? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Be sure to like this video. If you are on Goodreads or Fable, I am also. So go ahead and check me out on there. That's all. Bye.